Matt Wetzel built an empire pulling stuck vehicles out of the Utah wilderness. Nearly 2 million people watched him rescue Jeeps from impossible situations, turning his towing business into a YouTube phenomenon that printed money. $47,000 a month just from ads. But in October 2021, everything came crashing down. The Utah Attorney General filed charges that could have sent him to prison and destroyed everything he'd built. The wildest part? He literally filmed the evidence himself and uploaded it for the world to see. One fraudulent recovery caught on camera, watched by insurance investigators building their case. Hurricane, Utah isn't exactly a hotspot for celebrity sightings or viral sensations. It's a small town where people know each other, work hard, and mind their business. Matt Wetzel fit right in. He'd been running Winder Towing since 2013, doing conventional towing for a decade before something shifted. Friends introduced him to kinetic energy ropes, and suddenly, off-road recovery became profitable in ways regular towing never was. In 2019, Matt started filming these rescues. Not fancy production, just raw footage of him and his crew pulling stuck side-by-sides and Jeeps from sand dunes and rock trails. The audience response was instant and massive. People couldn't get enough of watching rental Hyundai Tucsons getting dragged over boulders or watching Matt fabricate custom solutions in his shop using what he called fabric obbling, making stuff up as he went without detailed plans. The channel exploded. By late 2021, he had nearly 900,000 subscribers and was pulling in over $47,000 monthly just from YouTube ad revenue. That's not counting what Winder Towing made from actual recovery work, merchandise sales, or sponsorships. Matt had accidentally stumbled into the perfect formula: take a necessary service, film it authentically, and let viewers live vicariously through impossible rescues. His crew became characters people recognized. Ed, the 80-year-old who provided weather reports and stories from decades past. Lizzie, learning to weld on camera. His wife Jamie handling the business side. It wasn't just a towing company anymore, it was entertainment, education, and community all wrapped into one addictive package. Someone noticed something wrong. A complaint landed on the desk of the Utah Insurance Fraud Division, and they started digging. What they found during their year-long investigation would become a legal nightmare for Matt. Between January 2019 and August 2020, Winder Towing had collected over $15,000 from the LAHAA for claims that didn't add up. Insurance fraud investigators aren't the type to make assumptions. They build cases methodically, checking every detail, cross-referencing documents, interviewing people involved. And in Matt's case, they had something most fraud investigations don't: video evidence uploaded by the suspect himself. His YouTube channel became their research library. The investigation revealed multiple instances where the services billed to IAA didn't match what actually happened. Locations were wrong, vehicles were misrepresented. Tows that allegedly occurred never took place. The patterns were clear enough that by October 2021, the Attorney General's office felt confident moving forward with charges. Matt Wetzel, the friendly guy who helped stranded people in the wilderness, was formally charged with one count of filing a false or fraudulent insurance claim, not a misdemeanor, a second-degree felony. The kind of charge that carries serious prison time and destroys reputations permanently. For someone whose entire business model depended on public trust and viewer loyalty, this was catastrophic. His arraignment was scheduled. Legal bills started piling up. The comment sections on his videos filled with speculation. Would he address it? Would the channel survive? Could you separate the entertainer from the business owner facing felony charges? Nobody knew, but everyone was watching. Here's where it gets absolutely wild. One of the fraudulent claims cited in the charging documents was a recovery Matt had filmed, edited, and uploaded to his channel for hundreds of thousands of people to watch. The insurance investigators didn't need to dig through paperwork or track down witnesses. They just clicked play. The job involved a Polaris RZR stuck off-road. Anyone familiar with ITAR AOA knows they don't cover side-by-sides or UTVs. Their roadside assistance is for cars and trucks on actual roads, not recreational vehicles buried in sand dunes. But the owner wanted ALA to pay for the recovery, so according to investigators, they came up with a plan. The owner used a friend's AALA membership to submit the claim, instead of accurately reporting that Winder Towing had recovered a Polaris RZR from off-road terrain. The claim stated they'd towed a truck, a regular AAA-covered truck. The paperwork went through, AALA paid out, and everyone moved on, except Matt had filmed the entire recovery and put it on YouTube. Imagine being an insurance fraud investigator and finding the literal evidence of fraud just sitting there on the internet, monetized, with the defendant talking directly to camera while committing the act being investigated. It's almost too perfect. The video showed Matt, the RZR, the off-road location, everything that contradicted the claim submitted to AAA. This wasn't some elaborate conspiracy requiring months to unravel. This was someone filming themselves doing something they shouldn't have been doing, then uploading it for profit. The irony was almost poetic. The Polaris RZR situation wasn't an isolated incident. As investigators dug deeper, they found a pattern of similar behavior that painted a picture of systematic fraud rather than innocent mistakes. Each case revealed a different method of misrepresenting services to get towed away to cover costs they normally wouldn't. In one instance, Matt allegedly completed a recovery for someone without ROA membership. Simple enough problem with a simple solution, except the solution wasn't legitimate. According to charging documents, Matt told the customer to sign up for AAA, then wait a few days before reporting the tow that had already happened. The paperwork also got creative with locations. The vehicle moved from Apple Valley to Washington County, but the claim submitted to TRA said it originated in Las Vegas. Different geography, different coverage rules, different payout. Then there were the Salt Lake City tows. 3 separate claims totaling $2,800 for vehicle recoveries to Salt Lake City. Except when investigators interviewed the person who submitted those claims, they admitted something shocking. Their vehicles were never towed. Not to Salt Lake City, not anywhere. So what did Matt actually do? He delivered construction materials. The person used AAA as a payment processor for a completely different service that had nothing to do with vehicle recovery. That's not a billing error or a misunderstanding about coverage. That's using a roadside assistance program as a personal payment service for hauling building supplies. The fraud wasn't sophisticated, but it was brazen, and it was adding up to serious criminal exposure. October 2021, the charges became public. Matthew David Wetzel, age 45, 1 count of filing a false or fraudulent insurance claim, 2nd-degree felony. The legal system doesn't mess around with insurance fraud. It's not a slap on the wrist or a fine. Felony convictions mean prison time, permanent criminal records, and the end of any business requiring public trust. Matt's entire world was on the line. His YouTube channel, which had become his primary income source, depended on viewers believing he was the good guy helping stranded people. How do you maintain that image while fighting felony fraud charges? His towing business, Winder Towing, required licenses and insurance that don't exactly get renewed when you're convicted of defrauding insurance companies. His reputation in the off-road community, built over years of legitimate recoveries and entertaining content, could evaporate overnight. The Attorney General's office wasn't playing games. They'd spent over a year investigating, building an airtight case with video evidence, witness statements, and documentary proof of misrepresentations totaling over $15,000. Matt initially pleaded not guilty, which meant this was headed for trial. A public trial where prosecutors would show his own YouTube videos as evidence of fraud, where every detail of how he'd manipulated AAA claims would be laid out in court documents anyone could read. The legal bills mounted. His attorney, Jason Velez, started working on a resolution that wouldn't destroy Matt's life completely. But with felony charges and clear evidence, the negotiating position wasn't strong. Something had to give, and it had to give soon. February 2022. 4 months after the charges went public, Matt walked into court and changed his plea. Not guilty became no contest. The distinction matters legally, but the result was what counted. The 2nd-degree felony disappeared, replaced with a Class A misdemeanor for false or fraudulent insurance claim. No contest means you're not admitting guilt, but you're not contesting the charges either. You accept the consequences without the formal admission. Matt's attorney was quick to frame it as a dispute over process rather than substance, suggesting this was about paperwork and procedures, not intentional fraud. That spin was important for public perception and for keeping the YouTube channel viable. The terms were straightforward. Matt had to pay back every dollar that plea had been defrauded, the full $15,000 plus. He accepted a probation agreement with the possibility of early termination if he stayed clean and complied with all terms. No prison time, no felony conviction destroying his business licenses, no permanent mark that would make rebuilding impossible. The Attorney General's office released a statement saying they were satisfied with the outcome. Matt admitted guilt by accepting the plea, agreed to full restitution, and would comply with probation terms. Justice served, case closed. Richard Piatt, spokesman for the AG's office, made it clear they got what they wanted: acknowledgement of wrongdoing and the money returned. Matt's attorney emphasized his client's commitment to moving forward and serving the community. The message was clear: mistake made, price paid, time to rebuild. But would his audience accept that narrative? The comment sections could have turned toxic. Sponsors could have bailed. Subscribers could have abandoned the channel in droves. Instead, something surprising happened. The audience largely stuck around. Some viewers appreciated the transparency. Others figured everyone makes mistakes and paying restitution was enough. The core fan base that loved watching impossible recoveries didn't particularly care about insurance billing disputes from years earlier. Matt kept uploading. He didn't make a dramatic apology video or try to over-explain what happened. He acknowledged it, moved on, and got back to what people subscribed for, pulling stuck vehicles out of the Utah wilderness. The channel didn't just survive, it grew. By 2025, he'd blown past 1.6 million subscribers, nearly doubling the audience he had when charges were filed. The builds continued. His crew finished work on what Matt calls the world's largest off-road wrecker, a custom-built beast using a 1956 International Harvester fire truck cab. There's controversy about whether it's actually the world's largest, but Matt defends the claim based on terrain capability rather than pure size. They built the Bombi, a mini snowcat modified for deep snow and sand recoveries. The 2024 and 2025 off-road games brought thousands of fans to Sand Hollow State Park to watch YouTubers compete in recovery challenges. His wife Jamie kept the business side running smoothly. Ed kept providing weather updates at 85 years old. The channel evolved, the crew changed slightly, but the core content remained: authentic recoveries, creative problem solving, and a guy who genuinely seemed to love helping people get unstuck. So what actually happened here? A successful business owner got too creative with insurance billing, probably trying to help customers save money while keeping his towing company profitable. He filmed some of these questionable recoveries and uploaded them to YouTube, never thinking insurance fraud investigators would be watching his channel like it was Netflix. The Utah Attorney General built a case using Matt's own content as evidence, charged him with a felony, and nearly destroyed everything he'd built. The irony is almost too perfect. Matt created a thriving YouTube channel by being authentic and transparent, filming everything his crew did. That same transparency provided prosecutors with video evidence of fraud. He literally monetized the proof of his own crimes, making money off content that would later be used against him in court. But here's the bigger lesson for anyone mixing business with content creation. The camera captures everything, and the internet never forgets. What you film today might become evidence tomorrow. The line between helping customers and committing fraud can be thinner than you think, especially when you're trying to make insurance companies cover things they normally wouldn't. Matt survived because he took the plea deal, paid the money back, and his audience chose to forgive rather than cancel. Not everyone gets that lucky. The channel's still growing, the recoveries continue, and the legal troubles are mostly forgotten by viewers who just want to watch Jeeps get yanked out of sand dunes. But for Matt Wetzel, there's always going to be that moment when everything almost ended because he couldn't resist filming one more recovery.